Hey guys, a few days ago we just posted a video in which we discussed about a tool that I used and developed over the years, which is called the white paper test, which I use with managers to help them confront reality and understand where they are standing from their, let's say, prioritizing skills point of view, how well they look at their work, they make it efficient, they weight it not only in criticality and how time is of essence, but also towards the added value it brings to the table. And I came to realize that through a simple exercise like the ABCDE method over there, most of my managers had challenges in prioritizing their work, weighting their work, and also looking at the tasks that need to be done right now and are critical and important, others that can be delegated, or others that can wait, can be paused, but also future tasks, that could bring added value. So credit goes to the 1970s guru in time management, which is Alan Lakein, but he is not the only one that has contributed to this methodology, to this productivity method, which is the ABCDE nowadays. But I decided to add some additional sauce on top of it and also go towards the F and G. Okay, and I'll explain in the following video how do I use this tool by simply accessing Trello, which is a software that is free out there. You just have to go and log in, make an account, and for the features that you need right here, right now, it's free. It won't cost you anything, and I think it's super useful. And there are also some labeling games that you can put over there, some personalizing, which would make your board in terms of the tasks that you are focusing extremely useful. Okay? So I did mention that in the 1970s, this ABC method was big, but the funny part is about this method that it first started in the asset or inventory management, okay? And throughout the time, and we're talking here about the past 100 years, it had so many contributors that, it's basically present everywhere, and everybody has the freedom to actually tailor it as long as the principles behind it are healthy and are carefully measured and are carefully labeled, right, according to their weight, impact, and the added value. And one of the, let's say, modern fathers that have contributed to this method that I can mention, and I think it would be very useful for me to add a link in this video description, is Mr. Brian Tracy, with his book, Eat That Frog. And by frog, he meant all the 8 tasks, okay? But we will get that in a second. So we need to make sure that we use this tool in a way to master and sharpen our daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, why not lifetime activities that we want to plan for ourselves, and which we all gonna be executing maybe once on time and maybe in parallel, but they some of them maybe don't have to be solved the next day, but we need to have the deadline for each, okay, so that it's healthy and it's measured in time by when we need to solve that and where we can label it appropriately, okay? So every day there's a lot of challenge in juggling between several personal and professional, tasks that we have to do. But with which one should we start first? Okay, how should we prioritize things in our morning where we have our, brain rested and refreshed and can attack more challenging tasks? What do we decide and how do we decide what is urgent and what is not urgent? What do we leave for later, maybe mid of week, maybe over the weekend, maybe in our spare time, okay? How do we decide or conclude that some activities are actually huge blockers for others around us and need to be immediately attacked and solved? And how do we actually strike a balance between performing our roles according to the several hats that we each wear during a day, which is, perhaps a manager, an employee, a father, a husband, and a person, a human being, right? Maybe even a mentor. So how do we strike the balance over here? Because unfortunately, we can't put any of these hats in the hanger. So we need to get used to them, and we need to start excelling in each of them depending on the criticality out there. Okay. So the the basic ABC time method is a way to prioritize your tasks, okay, according to importance and urgency. As I mentioned in my white paper test video, I also like to look at added value and criticality and impact in overall business, okay? So let's look at what this A, B, C, D, E, F, and G prioritizing method is about, okay? And we start with the first one, okay? And we have a type of priorities, okay? These kind of priorities are high priorities. They require immediate attention. They have heavy consequences or severe consequences if they're not done. And here is where I'm correlating this to what Brian Tracy said with eat that frog, right? So if you start with these, if you start your day with these, if you prioritize these, if you solve these, you're going to get that adrenaline boost, that satisfaction boost that I did the most horrible thing in that day, week, month. Okay, so now I can focus on other things. So I got rid of this heavy lifting, which was critical, and now I can use this as a morale booster to focus on my other tasks, okay? I'm gonna add a link to Brian Tracy's, maybe I can find a video, but also to his book, where Eat That Frog, which I highly recommend in parallel with this exercise, okay? Now, as you can see, I have set 3 different tasks over here in my Trello, which enables you to add a deadline, okay, by when you have to finish this. And it also enables you to label this, okay? So I created, take a look over here, show more labels. So I created over here a couple of labels. The A, B, and C tasks have been subdivided into A1, A2, A3, or B1, B2, B3, C1, C2, C3. I didn't continue with D, E, and F over here, and I'm going to explain a bit later. But the reason these have 3 different levels is because you may have multiple A-type kind of tasks to solve in a day, a week, a month, but at the end of the day, even if they're A-type and have severe consequences, they need immediate attention, they weigh heavily in the impact of your activity, you do have to label them and make a subcategory over here to see which are you starting with. And I'm giving you the perfect example where you could reach your blocker over here. If you use this method, just ad literam and ignored what can actually happen in reality, right? Theory is one thing, but in reality, let's say I have these 3 different tasks over here. So in order to create one of these tasks in Trello, you just click over here, okay? And you start adding the title and then you personalize it, okay? The way I use Trello is by starting with a verb. A verb means an action. It means that I gotta get out my seat, I gotta start moving, I gotta grease the wheels, I gotta start the machine, I need to take action. So I encourage you guys, whenever you're building these tickets for you, whenever you're building these tasks for you, wherever you're building these sticky notes for you, start with a verb. A verb is very powerful and a verb will encourage action, okay? So you can see over here I've created 3 different tickets, and now I'm in a conundrum because I don't really know how to weight these, okay? So in order for me to actually efficiently weight these, I have to look at my management style, my team, right? Like a football coach, I need to look at my players and I need to see their skills. What are they excelling? What are they missing? Where are they dependent of me? So then I can come back to my tasks and prioritize my tasks accordingly, considering what would block or unblock my team from performing their duties or achieving their goals. Okay, so let's take a look at my notes. So note number one is prepare the executive committee country deck. I need to prepare my stats, my performance for the past month, and meet the CEO and discuss about what I did in my geographies well, where there's room for improvement, and where I think that I could have done a better job, right? So a blunt radiography about my work. Okay, this looks pretty important, and as you can see over here, I actually added a deadline that it needs to be finished today. So I'm just kind of tense looking at the time ticking right now, what I'm gonna do first, what I'm gonna attack first, because I just arrived at the office, I had my coffee, and I need to take some actions over here. The second task is to, in the A category over here, top priority, is review mid-manager's weekly planning, right? We're gonna have a separate video on this in which I'm gonna share with you guys the template that I've used with my managers in order for them to plan their efforts, their actions, and their weeks, and what I have to review. And this is putting a question mark over here for me if I should start with this one or the XCOM, right? I need to be prepared for the CEO, but at the same time, if I don't bring my inputs on what my team are prioritizing for this week, then they're gonna start their work, they're gonna start focusing on something, and maybe I don't see that as being the biggest thing to start with or the most important thing to start with. So that's where I need to use my supervising experience and skills and mentor them and point them perhaps in the direction that's needed so that their work brings in the highest added value possible out there. Okay. The third one is reflect on the glide path to achieve the KPIs agreed with the client. Okay. Now this is tricky also because in a week a lot can happen. If you don't have the glide path over there with the actions that need to be taken to improve your scores, then another week would go by and something that you promised to your client, maybe it's not going to happen. Okay. By glide path here, guys, understand a mitigation plan, understand an action plan, understand me telling you as a client, what am I going to do to change the current status quo, improving it and getting it closer to what we agreed, right? Because the fact is, in reality, it's very rare when something that you have planned happens exactly like you planned it in the execution phase, and there are a lot of challenges over there, so I need to be prepared with mitigation actions over there, and that we're going to improve the result and bring it closer to what we have planned initially. Okay, so here I go back, I take a step back and look at these three tasks over here, and I question myself, how am I as a manager structured in handling these tasks over here? I respect very much the CEO and I want to be well prepared. There's no meeting in which I want to go with one of the XCOM members, be a question over there and me not having at least a partial answer to it, because I want to show confidence. I want to show that I'm competent in handling my geographies, and I want to show that I have a close connect with my team and the people working under me so that I know the fine details also. Okay, but I would like to start this by putting the people working under me first. I always start my week that way. And in fact, I cheat a bit, and I can tell a little secret over here. I actually like to cheat a bit because each Monday, I either wake up at least 2 hours earlier or spend an hour and a half on Sundays to actually reflect on where and how can my work support, unlock, unblock, and encourage others to perform better. Okay, and that's why I'm looking at the people under me first. So I would start with quickly reviewing the weekly planners, giving them hints, right? And then I would, in parallel, start working at the XCOM country deck and looking at the glide path. A bit, these two activities might be intertwined because I have to go in the front of the CEO and tell him what I'm going to change in order to bring better results and keep the client satisfied. But nevertheless, I think, at the end of the day, it might be boiling more to give some reassurance to the client to reduce the risk of an escalation, rather than give all the details to your XCOM members in not keeping this as a more holistic picture. Okay, so if it was for me, I would prioritize this in the following way, especially since this is like a late evening call because of the time zone differences. So I would start by reviewing this plan for the managers. This would be my A1. Then I would quickly look at the glide paths and see what can be done and delegate to the project managers, to the delivery directors out there, my thoughts, my reflections, see what can work, what cannot work, and maybe at the end of the day, we can have something as an update for the client if we are extremely agile, right? But that's also an if over there. And last but not least, this I would label this as an A3, not because it's not important. As I said, I think the meeting with the monthly meeting that I have with the CEO is the most important thing in my agenda from a reporting point of view and auditing my work point of view. But at the same time, I want to make sure that people are unlocked, and encouraged and supported so they can work in parallel and can bring results while I am in these time-consuming activities, okay? So that would be pretty much it about A-type, eat that frog, high priority, immediate attention, heavy consequences, severe actions required, immediate actions required, kind of activities, and how you should plan and how you should subcategorize them and how you should prioritize them. Remember, guys, listen to your gut feeling and experience also, okay? There's no standard recipe over here. What works for me might not work for you. So please look within yourselves, within your experience, within your precedent, and take initiative over here, okay? Now, let's move to the B type of tasks, which I call them medium priority. They're important, but not urgent. At the same time, essential, right? So it's essential for you to pay your company taxes at the deadline agreed. Make sure you have received the documents from your accountant, you've reviewed them and reflected, and you eventually made the payment. But, and this is important, right? You want to be in really good relationships with the IRS and play fairly and do things right. But at the same time, there's a golden rule, guys. There's a golden rule over here. This looks like quite something easy to do, like maybe not a lot of brain power needed, and perhaps it would be something to put in your done jar at the beginning of the day, but please apply discipline, okay? What do I mean by this? Do not do a B, C, D, E, F kind of task before you haven't chewed, eaten, and digested your A-type high priority tasks, okay? So this is the B type of task over here. You have B1, B2, B3 also. I just added this as an example over here. Then on C, I think I would consider this as a low priority. They're neither urgent or critical, but need to be done over there eventually. The problem is, and the difference is between C-level and D-level type of things, is that only I can do them, right? It's still stuck with me somehow. And that's why I consider reporting a quality issue of a video on my YouTube channel something that needs to be done by me. It will depend when I'm going to do it. It's a C-level. It doesn't really have impact if I don't. It's not like I'm not going to have 10,000 views if I don't do it. I mean, it has to be solved. The content is out there. It's just a matter of reporting it. But it's stuck with me. I can't delegate it. And this brings us to D type of tasks over there, right? D comes from delegate, and that's how I use it. I try to look within my work, who else can do this? And not only who else can do this, who can do this actually much better than I do it, right? So I know what my PMs, my delivery directors, my program directors, my QAs, my team leads need to do out there to get to the client agreed KPIs, but that doesn't mean with me not being hands-on over there that I can do a better job than them. Okay, so that's why I consider D to come from delegate, and this is something that you need to immediately identify that can be done by others. Okay, and what I did over here is I added 2 additional labels. Okay, personal or work. Okay, because you have to juggle between your personal and private life and your work or professional life, right? You're not a robot, so you would have the same applicability of ABCDEFG prioritizing method even for personal tasks. Okay, so you can see the check the DSAT analysis. I can do that, but I would rather have the QA do that, or the project manager. Depends very much on the bandwidth they have over there, the languages. There are many other criterias over there. Maybe I would do it in a 2-filter system, like first have the QA, then have the project manager do the ad hoc or random checking, and then see what they believe over here. Then I can delegate to someone and for them to vet the candidates that were shortlisted maybe for a support structure role. So let's say I'm hiring an operations manager for a site in one of the countries that I manage. Of course, I would eventually like to do an interview round with that candidate, but maybe I can save myself for the 3rd round, which can, postpone this for over a week and have someone with experience that has actually hired such people in these roles, or actually have others in my team that are performing that role, because you can have an operation manager depending on the business unit out there or the delivery center's location, and ask him or her to evaluate that guy because I trust him or her with the competencies that they should look, or experience they should look for in this role. Okay, and then the other task that I have over here is finding a best solution for an attic roof, right? Like building a terrace on top of your house. That's something that I could Google, YouTube, read about. It would take like extensive hours, me getting acquainted with a new domain, learning about it. So let's say I would say at least 10x time, as if you were to delegate this and pay an architect to do it. So that's why I consider this to be perfect as a personal D type of tasks that can be delegated. And the same goes for the marketing to my Airbnb business, right? I might be good at that, but still, I don't think it would come so easy as if you were to engage with a SOME specialist or someone that does this for a daily, as a daily activity. Okay? Now, guys, let's talk about something funny. So we heard about A, B, C, D, and E so far, but I want to get really quick to F and G because I think that these two have a lot of impact in how we move forward, okay? And what happens with our future career, with our future salary, with our future role, self-actualization, satisfaction, so on and so forth, well-being, okay? So let's go to E. They call these E type of tasks because you would like to, it's recommended that you eliminate them. And I call them, so focus and energy vampires, okay? I really hate these. I try to identify them as quickly as possible, put them on a list over here and take action, okay? And I gave you 3 examples that I went through recently. So one of them was deleting my Instagram profile. This was eating like time and didn't bring any real contribution. I'm not the kind of professional that would promote themselves through social media. I'm not the one that will find clients over there. Honestly, I don't know if I want to work with people that were interacting with me through Instagram for professional purposes. So this was eating out a chunk of my time that I could spend otherwise and had no real gain. So I decided that by the end of this month, I'm going to delete it. And I actually started by deleting the app from my phone. And then I'm going to delete my account because it takes a few days until it's deleted. Then I realized that, every time you have a break, if you go on LinkedIn, you can find something interesting to read or someone to engage with or have a comment. And I decided to put an end to that and do it just once a day. maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, but it has to be like once a day. Okay, because if I respond to every message, email, or someone reaching out to me over there, I'm not going to be able to focus on my work. And last but not least, I made a rule when it comes to my mobile phones and my notifications. Of course, you know, my wife needs to get hold of me, or maybe there's a family emergency over there. So there's always someone on the emergency list that can ring regardless of the how I'm silencing the notifications or where I'm suspending over there. But I try to look at it like every 2 hours or every 3 hours, okay? And even when I look at it, I also pick some of the conversations that I need to have or not need to have, okay? So I try as quickly as possible, as fast as possible to get rid of these vampires, eat the garlic that's needed, and destroy these focus and energy vampires over there, okay? Now, let's move to F. F comes from futures, guys. So future, it's about the return on investment you would have from future datos, from your future self, okay? So what am I going to gain by actually investing in my future, or how should I invest in my future so that I would have something to gain over here? So I try to look at the bigger picture with respect to my career, the clients that I want to work with, and I try to define that persona. What is that client? What is their annual revenue? Where are their sites locations? What are their growth plans? What is their t-shirt size? And I try to understand what does it take to actually get there to work with that kind of client. What are the expectations? What's the preparation needed? What's the experience? What's the credentials? What's the education that's needed over there? And I can give you a few examples of a current situation, right? So I came to discover that it would be great to have a PDF, like a magazine, about my work, about what I do, about me as a person, what kind of hobbies, what do I do in my free time, how did I get in this career like an interim general manager and a strategic advisor, what do I think it takes to succeed over here, and which are some of the pitfalls that I see companies doing whenever they're doing the same business they were successful in US or Asia and they're trying to come in Europe. And I tried to give some general advice over there, some of the pitfalls that they need to avoid. So I started building this PDF, and guess what? Surprise, surprise, everyone that I'm interacting with as companies, perhaps they have a challenge in understanding how they could use my services to intertwine with their businesses. Maybe they're in a different industry, or maybe they have a different t-shirt size, or maybe they have different ambitions, or maybe they are building a board of advisors, okay, and they just need the wisdom out there. So I discovered by building this PDF and sharing it, they understood way better. I mean, even better than having a call with me. What exactly can I do? Because they had time to reflect and discuss with others, okay? Now, another exercise that I have put over here, it has to do with educational background. So if you have an MBA of, let's say, one of the top 100 universities out there, maybe an executive MBA or a global MBA, then that should boost or help your future career, and maybe, you know, even expand your horizons depending on the alumni you met over there or the business potential you have over there. So I consider this to be an F type of activity, which can bring return on investment in the future if you decide to take it. And one other that I want to share with you, and which I consider to be one basic best practice that you should do for your entire lifetime, regardless of your income level, is try to save 10% and put aside 10% for it. It has helped me a lot in the past, and I remember when I started this exercise, one of the most liberating and powerful impact that it had over my life is that I reached in a situation where I had the possibility to say no. So I no longer had to work with anyone. I no longer had to do any type of work. I no longer had to put up with contracts that do not align with my values, with people that are toxic, with people that don't have healthy business practices or have healthy business principles. And this gave me the cushion that was needed to say no, right? Which is a really big thing of saying these days, right? So this is what I would give it as examples over here for you guys. Of course, you know, learning a new foreign language is a long-term exercise. I would say 2 to 3 years, but again, a lot of added value. Maybe you're opening yourself to becoming a professional on a niche market. I consider the DACH region to be a niche market, for example. So mastering in parallel your German language could be a big plus for the untapped potential for business that's out there for German-speaking countries. Okay, and last but not least, I also have to talk about G type of tasks, tickets, activities out there, right? Because at the end of the day, we're human beings and we need to be healthy, take care of ourselves, be good at what we're doing, be good with ourselves, be at peace with ourselves. So it's not only the physical health, it's also the mental health out there. So I'm looking here at all activities that must be done for you to have a clear mind, a clear body, and a work-life balance out there, and help you balance a bit some of the pressures that are coming towards you because of, you know, life is tough out there. So some of the activities that I've started recently was exercising, right? I took a pause from that and I really suffered and I want to get back on it. So I took action over there, then started with the meditation, different forms. There are tons of materials out there, guys. Don't worry about it. Just take the 15 minutes and do it. And also reading, right? I'm very passionate about Stoic leaders and the Stoic philosophers. And I try to learn from them as much as possible through these bite-sized 30 minutes a day of how to handle pressures and, you know, the gravity of things and the challenges of life better. Okay, so as mentioned, I think we can conclude that this is one extended version of the ABC method from the 1970s, a bit deviated from the inventory management that originally was focusing, you know, where are we blocking our money in which inventory, what's the cost with that inventory to sit on shelf, which inventory is most demanded, which one is going to go rotten fattest, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's important for you guys to have the courage to develop the tools that you think will get you through all the challenges that you have in your professional and personal life. And just please don't forget the golden rule, okay? You don't do a B, C, or D task until you haven't eaten your frogs, okay? Hope you enjoyed this video.